Trevor fires from the back of the end zone, and that ball is going to be caught for the touchdown by Brian Thomas Jr. What a throw and catch. He tiptoed along the end line. Touchdown, Jacksonville. Fires deep downfield. Got a man. That's Brian Thomas Jr. 50 in the Colts territory. 35, 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown, Brian Thomas Jr. Just went 85 yards.
He's a playmaker. That's what stands out to me. It's just not one thing. We all know he's fast. You know, I can't really point to his releases. Can't really point to how he comes out of his routes. He just makes plays.
Looking, steps up, fires to the back of the end zone. Brian Thomas Jr. Did he double catch it? Yes, it and touchdown. He bobbled it, but hung on. Brian Thomas Jr. has the score, and Jacksonville is taking the lead.
Yeah, he's only going to get better once he masters his craft as far as his stance off the line, as far as come off the ball. You'll see in games to come, he'll get better, and even next year, he's going to be even that much better than he is right now. Right now, he's just getting his feet wet and showing us what he can do. So I'm looking for this guy to be a big-time playmaker for us in the years to come, and I'm glad to have him part of the Jaguars.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome into a fresh week of Jaguar discussion. This is Jaguars Today on January 20th, divisional round of the playoffs in the books. Some candidates more available than we thought they might be at this early stage. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Doing well.
Did you enjoy the football weekend?
Oh, absolutely.
It was good, man.
Yeah.
I
It's
did.
the best, man.
Even though it wasn't a close game, as it turned out, between Washington and Detroit.
It was still fascinating.
It was, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 31-21 at the half.
Yeah.
And which you thought, oh, my gosh, what kind of final score is this going to produce? And not quite as robust in the second half, 14-10 in favor of the Commanders. But Jaden Daniels continuing his star turn as an NFL rookie right now. What can you say about what he's been able to do? Go on the road here, beat the number one seed in the NFC, and now Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are open for business.
Yes, they are.
If you want to hire them, the timetable has been accelerated, so we'll talk about that, obviously, today. Gene Fournette from the Florida Times-Union is going to stop by. I saw an interesting tweet from Gene over the weekend weighing in that, according to his sources, Jags still feel that this is going to be a deliberate process. A lot of people have penciled Ben Johnson into Las Vegas, right? And that Lance Newmark guy is apparently somebody he wants to work with. People saw, the Raiders are going to interview him for the open GM job. That it's a done deal, that Ben Johnson is sailing off to the desert, so to speak. Maybe he will, ultimately. But maybe he won't. He's still meeting with the Jaguars second time around. So whatever he heard the first time, Tony, apparently wasn't disqualifying.
Yeah, and I can understand even with him still being willing to talk the second time around to Jacksonville and Chicago, right? So he's going to talk to Jacksonville, Chicago, and Vegas one more time at least as he goes through the process of making the decision. It still feels to me like the Raiders are probably the favorite to land Ben Johnson, but that he's willing to still talk to the other two. Maybe it's a last gasp opportunity. It's like, I want to bring this guy with me. Are you willing to bring him in or not? Right? That may be what the conversation is at this point. I don't know, what any of these conversations sound like, but he's at least got the Jags in his final three. And we know halfway through the season, all the talk was Ben Johnson really wants to work in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Right? Like that was the talk halfway through the year.
Right. At least it was an attractive job.
Absolutely. And if that's the thing that's drawing him to Jacksonville, that's not going to be in Vegas. Right?
Correct.
I really want to work with Brock Bowers. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't want to work.
Tom Brady going to come down from the booth?
Right. I'm not saying I wouldn't want to work with Brock, but Trevor's a bit more of a draw than whatever they're going to be doing at quarterback there in Vegas. So I'm not surprised they're still in it. And for the same reasons that Chicago would be. I'd be much more interested in working with Caleb. Right, Caleb and Trevor. I get it. They're the two draws. Right. They're the two draws basically in this open coaching search right now as we get to work with one of these two guys and try to build something going into the future. So I think it would have been a little bit silly to at least not have that last conversation with those two teams specifically and see if you can leverage whatever leverage you feel like you may need to get the situation to look the way you want it. And that may be all this is. He may be more interested beyond that. We just don't know.
We don't know, right? And so let's find out, right? Let's go through the process and see what happens. At least this, we thought we were going to have to wait for weeks to find out, right?
Yeah.
Detroit's going to go to the Super Bowl. Look, they were the favorite. I thought they'd win big. Give credit to Tom McManus. Did he pick them straight out, Washington, to win? I know he was suggesting they might. Maybe he just...
I don't think he picked them straight. I think when you asked who's the most likely upset,
That is who he went with,
Yeah.
but he did pick Detroit, but he laid the points.
Yeah.
I was ready to lay the points with Detroit. I didn't bet on any of that. I am very glad I don't bet on that. I was 0-2 on Saturday because the line that we had was 8.5 and it ended up being 9. And I know on the broadcast they talked about that when
yes, they did.
They ran out of the end zone that, that's a big number right now. So apparently it got to 9 in some places in that game between Kansas City and the Houston Texans, who, by the way, did get jobbed on a few calls. Couldn't happen to a nicer team.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I'm not going to feel bad for you.
I would like the NFL to clean that up this week, potentially,
Right.
for the AFC Championship
Moving
game.
on, we can't allow this.
It's not breaking my heart that it happened to Houston.
Nope,
That's a shame.
not in the least bit is it breaking my heart. And, by the way, how about make your kicks? Don't allow 8 sacks in the football game. That's a big part of it. But
some of it was weird. Like, people were going nuts on the non-call, on the hit out of bounds where, Mahomes acted to try to get the flag. I was like, yeah, why wouldn't he do that? I would hope your quarterback would do the same.
Right,
Like,
but it's just such
silly.
a weak move, man.
It's silly, but then I saw people, they ought to penalize this. It's like, what penalty in the NFL is based on intention? They can't factor in intention for many. It's like, we think this guy's faking it. What? How can you even, how do you even, referee that? We think he faked. What? I don't even know how you bring that in.
I think what they're saying, the guys that try to play games about, I'm going to run out, and then they step back in. But again, how do you look? The way to police that is break a rib. Just bust him right in the damn ribs and risk the 15-yarder. If he's going to play the game on the line right there, go in there full speed and risk taking the penalty.
I'm okay with that too. But what they're not going to do is start penalizing the quarterback for taking a hit and acting like he got hit.
I thought that was the weakest moment of Patrick Mahomes' career. Do you really need this? You're going to flop like some, Euro soccer or basketball play? Come on.
Well, that's why they flop in soccer.
I understand that.
You're showing you got fouled.
And it's why a lot of people look at that sport and go, weak, because they're all flopping around on the field acting like they've been knocked over by a freight train when they get a little bump on their shin. I mean, there's a lot of fakery and a lot of lack of manliness going around when that kind of thing arises. And that's exactly what I just thought that was so weak on Mahomes' part. I'm not saying if he were on our team, we'd celebrate it as, that's smart football. And it may be. It can be more than one thing
today's NFL
at one time.
Yeah.
But it's still the idea of you need the extra protection. I mean, you're getting protection on every play out there. Now, the funny thing is the league's officiating went back and said, no, those calls that they called were, that there was contact. And there is a still shot of Will Anderson's crowd of his helmet hitting Mahomes right in the face mask on the roughing the passer call. I didn't think it was roughing the passer, but darn it, went against Houston. So I really wasn't that upset, quite frankly.
That was the only one that bothered me in the whole game, really. It was just like,
Well, the one where he slid, he did slide. We had the whole thing about did Trevor slide late. I thought Mahomes did slide kind of late. But the thing about it is they barely touched him.
No.
They hit each other.
Yeah.
That was the one that bothered me more than the one in the pocket. But whatever. That's,
Houston's problem.
Exactly. That's Houston's problem, and then now that's Buffalo's problem next week because it's not like it's
Allen does
going
the
away.
same thing. I mean, Allen, I've watched enough Josh Allen. He plays it up when he gets hit, too, all the time. Every time he gets hit, he immediately turns around and says, where's the flag? It doesn't matter where he got hit, when he got hit, how he got hit. He turns around and says, where's the flag?
But does he go into histrionics, throw his arms up in the air and act
I've seen him do it.
Yeah, all right. Well, that one stood out to me from Mahomes.
I think the top quarterbacks in the league know the officials are looking to protect them. So when they get in those kind of moments, they ham it up, right? Like they're looking at the officials saying, I dare you not to throw a flag. He hit me, right? They know they have that kind of power right now within the game. And in the playoffs, They're going to use it. Like whatever you have at your advantage, you're going to use, especially this time of year. So I'm not surprised, and we could see a couple of those moments this weekend between both of them.
All right.
Sure.
So we had 4 games that were compelling in their own right.
Yes,
in,
they
in
were.
different ways. I mean, Saquon Barkley. Maybe we'll stop the land rush of Chris Shula needs to be the. There was one call last week. We should consider Chris Shula after one big game in the playoffs after leading the 26th ranked defense. Saquon still running.
Holy cow!
He's still 400 and what did he end up 460 in 2 games
Something
against him?
Yeah,
he went 255 and 205.
Yeah,
so 460 in 2 games,
and all 4 touchdowns over 60 yards
against the same LA Rams defense. Look, and they are now the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. Philadelphia is, in part because they're the overwhelming likely favorite to make the Super Bowl based on the betting odds. Kansas City is. If you got a Kansas City versus Philadelphia matchup, I imagine Kansas City is going to be the favorite.
It's more than 50-50 shot on the AFC side.
Right. It's a close, more of a coin flip as to who's going to be in there than once you. So if you're not sure if you're going to be in there, obviously the amount of times, let's say you're in there 53% of the time, according to the odds, 47% of the time you can't be winning it. If Philadelphia is in there 75% of the time, according to the odds, it's a little bit of a different story. But I don't know if I'm betting against the Commanders at this point. Tone, all they've got to do, they've got to beat a division opponent that they split with this year and then go potentially to the Super Bowl and see what happens. I mean, is there a scarier player at the moment than Jaden Daniels with the ball in his hands? I don't know if there is. And I get.
Not now that Lamar's out.
Right. I get everything that Mahomes has done. I get what Josh Allen is capable and Jalen Hurts is capable of doing. But this guy right now, man, imagine if he had the kind of weapons that some of these other teams have. I mean, Terry McLaurin, very good. De'Ami Brown is like a good 4th receiver on somebody's team. He doesn't have, and Zach Ertz is playing pretty well at tight end, but he's not super dynamic. He's reliable. Brian Robinson scored the 2 touchdowns, but he's very hit and miss in that running game. So, hey, congrats to the Commanders for getting it done. And Dan Quinn, and, a lot of talk this weekend about it. Dan Quinn was hired, and I remember the conversation at the time. He gave up 48 points in his last game, right, with Dallas as the coordinator. Yeah. And now people are going to make that connection. Well, here's Aaron Glenn. Well, first of all, they gave up 38, not 45, because one was a pick 6. But, really, you look at Aaron Glenn's season-by-season defensive rankings, it's not that stellar, Tone. And I get it. They're a team built on offense. But, put it this way. If the Jags were to hire Aaron Glenn and the Jags were to struggle defensively in the first month of the season, there'd be a lot of, I told you so kind of stuff happening. But that's the nature of everything. That doesn't mean Aaron Glenn's off my list. But today we're asking you not who you want, but who you think it's going to be at this point in time, because it could accelerate pretty rapidly this week with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn available now for follow-up interviews. That doesn't mean everybody is. Joe Brady is not, if you want to go down that road, and he's certainly in a lot of people's top 4 right now. But we ask you, as of today, who you think will be the head coach, the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, not necessarily who you would like it to be. We gave you 3 options, and you can go off the board. Liam Cohen, the Bucs offense coordinator, Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, the Lions offense coordinator, or do you think it'll be someone else? And if it is someone else that you're voting for, just we'd appreciate if you reply with that name. A lot of people who've done that have mentioned Robert Saleh as who they think the next head coach will be. Dylan Denmark, how was your weekend?
It wasn't good, but then it was good again on Sunday.
Well, what was bad about it?
TikTok went away. So for 5 hours, I went through withdrawals.
I was just getting ready to start an account, too, man. I've been working on some moves.
Well, now you can.
Had a few fun dances lined up, but I guess you'll have to wait.
Saved your drafts?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, saved it in my drafts. That's exactly what's up. So other than TikTok going down, it was okay for you?
Yeah, did a little pickleball Saturday.
Did you?
Sunday, I'd right on the couch. Didn't do nothing.
Pickleball wreck you now, man. Just ask your boy, E.T.
Yeah, every time I put the paddle in my hand, that's all I think about.
Is that right? I mean, it can happen to anybody now. Don't wish you the worst, but you wouldn't get me near a pickleball court, man.
Yeah.
Anything where I have to make quick change of direction movements at this stage of my life ain't happening unless it's changing the channel. The thumb still works adequately. All right, so if you want to get in today on the program, discuss Jaguar football or playoff football for that matter in its many permutations. Who are the GOATs and the heroes of the divisional round? We'll discuss that coming up. 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Gets you on board at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
I need some Girl Scout cookies.
I haven't gotten used to that one yet, and it gets me each time so far. So you can hit us up there on social media. Also hop in the YouTube virtual studio chat if you would like. We are, about 25-ish minutes away from Gene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union discussing his thoughts and what he's hearing about the Jaguars' vacant head coaching spot right now, and if the Jags are narrowing it down to a shorter list of candidates than the 10 that they've expressed interest in to this point in time. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark here with you, starting a new week here on 1010XL. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. There are 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and Jags football.
To the 5, into the end zone, touchdown!
Jaguar football lives here. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
New year, new beginnings, and a new roof. Start 2025 with peace of mind and take advantage of Universal Roof and Contracting's limited time offer. 15% off all roof repairs and replacements. From leaks to full replacements, call 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection today. This special New Year deal ends January 31st. Universal Roof and Contracting, protecting your home and building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
Jaguars Today.
It's a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
The big game is almost here, and Sonny's Barbecue wants you to win a barbecue feast. Text Sonny's to the text line brought to you by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010 for your chance to win. 641-1010.
Soccer continues to grow on the First Coast, and so does the need for better coverage. Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley
on the Sporting Jack Soccer Hour, Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
Hey, Icken here for Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code JAX, J-A-X, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code JAX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, man. Run your game.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Around this time last year, I was celebrating. Why? Because I had reached my goal of dropping 40 pounds with Awaken 180. It felt great. We all set goals, but most times we don't have a plan to hit them. So it's not really a goal. I'd call it more of a wish, and we know how that saying goes. With Awaken 180, I didn't wish the weight away. I had a plan, and this time, I knew I'd reach my goal, and I did it. 40 pounds gone in just 2 months. Simple. That was a year ago, and I haven't put on a pound. How do I feel? Like $1 million. Like the horizon line that looked so far away all those years is now right in front of me. And it's a brand new day. And it's time to seize it. Night and day from where I felt carrying around all that weight, having to untuck my shirts, winded trying to tie my shoes. If you're overweight, you know what I mean. Set your goal and know you'll reach it with the solution for weight loss. Call 844-346-1800 or online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Don't go through another year with all that high-interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Prosser here, and Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and personal loans, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. You can. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 904-999-1508, or visit loanpronto.com. Get your free quote now with no hard credit pull at 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jacksonville. When AEW returns home, it is the biggest party in all of professional wrestling.
Daily's Place, the home of AEW.
And on Saturday, January 25th, Collision returns live. It's a new year and a whole new era in AEW. And there's no better time to experience the excitement than right now. AEW Collision Homecoming, live from Daily's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets on sale now, starting at $20 at AEWTIX.com.
Make a resolution this new year to send all of your friends or family a Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. RJ Saunders here with 1010XL, and okay, how about sending just one person you love a floral arrangement? Kuhn Flowers can handle it.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
What do you know about this song, Dylan?
I know everything.
Do you? Well,
Glenn Fry or Glenn Frey? Which one?
It's Glenn Fry.
Okay.
But what do you know? Do you remember anything from our last discussion? Time
about the Frey thing. That's about it.
That's about all you know? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. It's featured in Miami Vice. It was written for Miami Vice.
I remember now that you just said that.
An episode of Miami Vice. Anyway, you ever see the Miami Vice movie?
No.
Not very memorable. No. Colin Farrell.
I remember it was Farrell in it, yeah.
Yeah, not super memorable. Was it Jamie Foxx? Was he in it too?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Anyway, so Tony, on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, before I go too deep down a useless rabbit hole right there, maybe too late, do you think the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in Detroit interviewing during the playoffs played a part in their loss? A distraction and focus to the task at hand to focus on the future seems selfish. Okay, I do understand how there is that argument to be made, right? But my counter argument to that is that's the system that the NFL has set up right now.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to advance in your career and better yourself and become a head coach, many teams don't want to wait until after the Super Bowl to find out. They want to move the process up, and you lose ground. So the coaches that everyone wants to talk to are the hot coordinators on the good teams, right? Makes sense.
I would be 100% on board if the NFL said you can't have head coach interviews till after the Super Bowl. Regardless of who's available, any of that, I'd be fine with that being the process. I would be completely on board for that kind of thing. I was thinking about it watching Detroit lose that game because there's no doubt if we were in Detroit and we were having the conversation about them having lost that game this weekend, they would be screaming about why are our guys talking to anybody and not just getting ready for this game, right? Like the distraction that could potentially be would be too much. If I was a fan of that team, I'd be like, what is going on, right? Like we earned the 1 seed. Why are they able to talk to anybody? until we get through with the process of our season. I don't care about next year for anybody else, right? Like, none of that matters to me a bit. I care about what's happening with my team right now. If the NFL were to step in and say, yeah, you can't talk to any of these guys until after the Super Bowl is done, after it's all done, after the season is done, you can start talking to everybody about what's going to be happening next season. I would be for that. I can't imagine the frustration in Detroit, today with the kind of season they just had. They were in the NFC Championship game last year, a couple plays away. They win the way that they won all season long, and now it's this, and both coordinators are on their way out the door, right? Like, I can't imagine the level of frustration that's going on in Detroit, but the NFL, I see no inclination on their part to say, no, you can't do that. And so if you're going to be allowed to talk to these guys and someone else is going to talk to them, if you are a team that has the head coach opening, yeah, you're going to talk to the hottest names that are going to be available to you. Like, you'd have to. You wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't. The only way to stop that is the league to say no, or like Kingsbury's doing in Washington. I'm not talking to you until our season's done. That's the only resolution for that.
All right, well, let's say you took that tack. Do you think Cliff Kingsbury is thinking about the next game plan 24 hours a day? I don't think it's that debilitating.
No, but I think NFL teams, they're really fickle, right? And this time of year, there's no room for anything added to any of the formula. And I'm not saying players are going to be focused on it. I would say I would like to, at least if I'm trying to put myself in the position of, if I'm supporting Detroit through this whole thing, my whole thing would be, I don't want anything added as a potential distraction. I don't know if it distracted him or not. That's not my issue.
I understand
it's the potential of it distracting.
But I don't consider those guys selfish for going along with some Zoom interviews. Now, people have brought it. Didn't bother Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury's waiting. And on. Okay, that's fine.
And if I was Washington, I'd be very happy.
I'd be happy. Yeah. And the fact that they won, you can attribute that to that if you want to, or it could just be a fact that So now, if Joe Brady, who interviewed and the Bills win the Super Bowl, or Steve Spagnuolo interviewed and the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, then what's the excuse, right? I mean, so unless Cliff Kingsbury and they win it all behind Jaden Daniels, and maybe they will. But if Cliff Kingsbury misses out on an opportunity, maybe he'll be fine with that because he's trying to win a Super Bowl, right, and get a ring. But let's say they lose this week and he misses out on a couple of jobs. I don't know what's fair and what's not fair. You know what? I get the perception. If you are a fan of a team, you want your sole focus to be on what we're doing here. But I don't blame these guys for adhering to the rules that are written up by the league and the Players Association and the coaches and what they're allowed to do. And this is the window that you've got to familiarize yourself and then shut it down. Look, it would have been a case of Ben Johnson did his due diligence with a few teams, plus they had a week off, and then they come back. If they win that game, he wasn't going to be speaking to anybody until after the Super Bowl anyway.
Sure.
To me, I mean, you can couch it that way. I just think it's a reality of the situation.
I'm not debating the reality at all. Like, if they're going to be allowed to do it, they're going to do it. Like, the only way it's ever going to really change is if the NFL said you can't talk to them until they're done.
And if they did that and everyone is in the same boat in terms of that,
and I'd be okay with that. Like, if the league came up with that kind of,
do that,
I don't think they will either. But I'd be okay if they stepped in and said, no, you can't talk to these guys till their season. Anybody.
Right. Because
and that'd be fine. So if you fired your coach 2 months before the season ended, you get no advantage because you're not going to be talking to anybody, at least nobody that's hired right now.
But part of it is the NFL just wants to be talked about nonstop.
I know.
And during these last few weeks, it's been as much about the coaching surge as it is about the games on the field.
Keeps the conversation about Dallas in play.
And they
don't
love
mind
that.
Yeah.
They love that kind of stuff. So anyway, I mean, look, you're certainly capable of feeling however you want to feel about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. Good luck to Cliff Kingsbury. And maybe he'll get a job. Maybe he won't. Yeah. But again, if Kansas City doesn't win the Super Bowl, do I think it's because Steve Spagnuolo got distracted?
No.
At some point, or Joe Brady got distracted?
Right. Like, I don't think Detroit lost because their guys were talking anywhere. Like, I don't think that's the reality of the situation. But if I was a fan of Detroit, I'd be really frustrated that they did it.
Hey, it's the real. I think they're frustrated more with some of the calls in the game. I think Detroit fans are looking at, in the first quarter, we're up a score. We got the ball 3rd and 1. We're moving it. Every time Jahmyr Gibbs touches it, he's going for a dozen yards.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get crafty and drop back here, and Goff fumbled it, and they're, quite frankly, really never the same. Next drive, he's pressing a little bit. He throws the pick 6. Now it's the snowball starting to gain some momentum, heading downhill. You know, like people said, Ben Johnson, oh, what are you doing letting Jameson Williams throw that ball? This is who they are, man. And by the way, Jameson Williams doesn't have to throw that ball on that play. He had one recently where he decided to tuck it and eat it, as a matter of fact.
I've seen him do that a couple times this year. It's not like it's the first time Detroit has run almost that specific play. But they had run a reverse to Jameson for a long touchdown earlier in the game. I don't blame the offensive coordinator for saying we're going to run something off that. Right? Like, it works so well. We expect that if we show them that look again, they're going to be charging hard at trying to do something about a play they couldn't stop the last time around. We'll trick them by doing. I don't blame him for trying it. It's that he didn't eat it in the moment. Like, he didn't just hold on to the ball or throw it out of bounds. Right? Like, it's that the end of the play didn't end the way that it needed to end in that moment.
And the danger is, too, that you put a guy who doesn't get a chance to throw the ball very often in that situation. He wants to make a play.
It's a big moment.
Right? He wants to make a play. But I have seen those guys eat it, and we've even seen those plays. You see it in real time. You're like, oh, it looks like he wanted to pass it there, right? But nothing was there, and he tucked it and ran and tried to get whatever he could. Look, that's part of it, Tony. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. We all love Dan Campbell. When he's going for 54th downs, and we're running through brick walls, and we're biting kneecaps, and we're going to go all out, and we're going to pull out all the stops, and look at how creative, and why can't we get a play caller who can call some of this stuff? With David Montgomery with a little shovel pass in the middle of the field for 20 yards to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it was a great play, right? So then the one that doesn't work, but no, we got to dial it
What's
back
wrong with him?
A little bit here.
Dummies?
It's who, by the way, it's who you're going to get if you hire Ben Johnson. I would presume it's not all an edict from Dan Campbell to go, crazy, put it all to the wall here and go all in on every snap. I think Ben Johnson has to jibe with that, or he wouldn't be calling a game
for sure
quite that way. So, you've got, that's part of live by the sword, die by the sword. And that's what Detroit's dealing with today. They're going to be hyper aggressive in some of those situations as they were yesterday. So anyway, we'll come back with one of the GOATs, man, who's been covering the Jacksonville Jaguars for a long, long time. Gene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union is going to join us coming up next to give his thoughts on where the Jags coaching search stands right now, the likely candidates, who he thinks ultimately will get offered the opportunity to become the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That and more coming your way next with Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Chose C for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They can transform your backyard with fire pits, pergolas, screen enclosures, and outdoor kitchens. And CSS handles the entire project from start to finish. You dream it, they build it. CSSOutdoor.com.
Dreamfinders Homes, Monday.
On Jaguars Today.
When the heat's on high or the chill is too much, who you gonna call? Cool Cats Heating and Cooling is locally owned and operated with a perfect touch. You'll keep your home just right, day or night. AC to heating, don't take a beating. Call the coolest cats in town. With a 5-star Google rating, they're your neighbors, ready to help. So get your paw of approval from Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town. CoolCatsJax.com.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners. Financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the chairman of Underwoods. With Christmas behind us in 2025 here, the last thing you want to hear is somebody trying to sell you something. That's why at Underwoods, we'd like to just stop and say thank you to all the people that came in our stores over the last year. Whether you bought from us or not, we want to thank you for coming by and giving us the chance to help. You know, in North Florida, there are a lot of people trying to sell you jewelry. But at Underwoods, we consider it an honor for somebody to come in and just give us that chance to help. And if we do a good job, we might get a chance to serve again. Having served North Florida since 1928, all of us here understand what a customer really gives us during that visit to Underwoods, their trust. And it's up to us to do everything we can to keep it. So on behalf of everybody on the Underwood team, thanks again for coming into our stores. And we wish each of you a Happy New Year.
Share a cup of coffee and range balls with Dan, Jeff, and PGA pros. Tour news, tips, and inside info.
Sounds like a lot of club for this young man.
Brunch with the Tour.
Brought to you by Clearwater Irrigation, 8:30 Tuesday morning on 1010XL.
Facing a DUI charge or even a boating under the influence charge? Well, I'm your man, DUI lawyer Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. 285-4LAW. Once again, 285-4LAW.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Now, any good lineup needs power. When I needed a power connection for our new Walk-Off Charities baseball park, I found the perfect partner in Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys, I'm telling you. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. So call my buddy Zach Ricketts today at 904-320-5960, and you can find them on Facebook as well. You will trust them. That's Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 320-5960.
Looking for a great place to enjoy some craft creations and soak up some scenery? Fernandina's Mocama Beer Company is a must-see and must-try. Nassau County knows it. Visitors need to find out about it. Mocama means near the big water where the sun is born. And if you visit their tap room in Fernandina Beach, you'll see how they've mastered equal parts precision and art in creating great flavors from IPAs to Pilsners, lagers, and sours, plus plenty more. Mocama.com, Mocama Beer Company. Start an adventure and find them in Fernandina.
Making a difference in our community for 2025? Paul Martinez here, President and CEO of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Northeast Florida. The Boys and Girls Clubs offers a safe environment to youth every day with homework assistance, a hot meal, career readiness, and character and leadership programs. 57% of club alumni say the Boys and Girls Club saved their lives. Help us grow our outreach as we serve the kids in our community throughout our 59 clubs. Go to bgcnf.org to donate and learn more.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line. Hello. We can wiggle it. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
So who's this still on the Electric Boys, you tell me?
Yeah, I thought of Gene. I said the Electric Boys, all hip, All hip and hip.
That's what you thought. You thought Gene Fournette, let's go with the Electric Boys. You didn't give him a choice of his own walk-up music today?
Not this time, no, sir.
You just thought the Electric Boys, why bother to ask a question I already know the answer to? Tony is, I think where Dylan was coming from. Gene Fournette is a longtime columnist for the Florida Times-Union, has been covering your favorite football team for years and years and years. And he is good enough to join us on this Monday morning. Happy New Year to you, Gene. How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. The Electric Boys, is that the were they the ones that sort of took the place of the Beach Boys? Or am I
think so. That's when the Beach Boys plugged in. When they finally plugged in. There's a big moment in the new Bob Dylan film, by the way, when he finally plugged in. So I'm sure that's what Dylan was thinking of.
Yeah, the Beach Boys would be a little bit closer to my era than the Electric Boys, but I'm making a presumption there.
All right, duly noted for your next visit here on Jaguars Today. So, all right, I saw a tweet from you this weekend, and I was interested in reaching out to you because of it. And it was the one, with Lance Newmark. For folks who don't know, he is connected with Ben Johnson. Many think that Ben Johnson wants him to be his new GM wherever he goes. And then there was a report that the Raiders are going to interview him for their open GM position. So a lot of people suppose that, okay, we're just a step or two away from Ben Johnson being announced as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. You tweeted, and I'm not quoting it verbatim, but according to your sources, that Johnson's still being very deliberate with the process, going to go through everything despite the Newmark news that things were still in play here for the Jacksonville Jaguars and Ben Johnson. So just give us what you can to kind of flesh that opinion out, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously, let me start this all by saying anything you see in social media, particularly if it's not from Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, and again, this goes back to the Leftwich thing 3 years ago, right? Everybody got all a tizzy with thinking that Byron Leftwich was going to be the next Jaguars coach. Turns out he was never offered the job and didn't even know Trent Baalke, so that even wasn't ever in play. So fast forwarding to what's happening now, I would say that from what I'm being told, that Ben Johnson is not going into this with any preconceived notion that I'm taking that job, or that job. I think he's going to be. I'm being told he's going to be very deliberate. He's going to think it through. And the Newmark thing with being interviewed with the Raiders, I'm not saying that won't be a factor. It might be. The point being, I'm very cautious when it comes to coaching searches about news that comes out, because oftentimes people make assumptions. They're either just guessing so they can come back and say, "See, I told you this 3 or 4 days ago."
Mm-hmm.
I think it's I think fluid is the right word right now for all the situations. I could see any one of 4 different guys, maybe even 5, being the next Jaguars head coach.
What effect, if any, has Trent Baalke, having remained the general manager, had on the team's coaching search to this point?
You know what? That's a very good question for this reason. Any one of us, even the ones that are closest to covering the team, I would say are not 100% certain, or can't be 100% certain, about how much influence Trent Baalke has on the decision, right? Shad Khan has said this is going to be my decision, right? But if he allows Trent, I think the more influence that he allows Trent to have in the process, and this is just me guessing here. I'm not telling you this based on any inside source. The more that Trent is allowed to influence the final decision, the more I think that bodes well for a candidate like, let's say, Liam Cohn, and maybe even Robert Saleh. That would. I think, if you're talking about candidates that I would view as less threatening to Trent, those would be my first 2 choices.
Let me ask you, Gene. There's a school of thought from some people. We don't see Shad all the time. We don't talk to him on a daily basis, but he pops up from time to time that Shad is completely disconnected, doesn't know. I mean, he's got to be aware enough, if he cares about this hire, to know that Ben Johnson is seen as the hottest guy out there, right? I mean, he's not ignorant of the conversations that are taking place. I can't believe that. Can you?
He's not ignorant that Ben Johnson is considered it's almost like, I think I wrote this last week, it's almost a Ben or bust attitude with a lot of the Jaguars fans. That's not to say that they don't think that there's other candidates that would be worthy, but obviously Ben Johnson, because of his offensive acumen, and I think also because of his youth. I mean, when you look at the candidates, 4 of them are offensive coordinators who are under the age of 40. So, and that, the Jaguars have never hired a young offensive coordinator in their past. I think Tom Coughlin was like 48 years old when he was hired in February of '94 to be the Jaguars coach. And so he was by no means young. He wasn't old, but he wasn't young either. But now you've got 4 guys under the age of 40, right? And, and ever since Sean McVay had his success and O'Connell's had his success, there's more and more of a trend to get these young offensive guys because, they're supposedly more creative and what have you. And let's face it, fans are intoxicated by offense. Okay? That's why you don't see the same uproar for a defensive guy like Saleh or Aaron Glenn because defense isn't as sexy, even though the Jaguars need a lot more help on defense than they do on offense, right? So, so from that standpoint, I just think that, offense is always going to be at the forefront of fans' mind because offense translates to entertainment. Entertainment translates to fans being more inclined to buy tickets if they see something that they view as entertaining because they would rather lose 35-32 than lose, 13-10.
It's a true story. I mean, it really is. It makes people feel better if their team can put up points. Gene Fournette, Florida Times Union here with us. Gene, the simple fact that Ben Johnson is going to apparently interview for a second time with the Jaguars would seem to mean that whatever he heard from Shad Khan / Trent Baalke, I don't know how much, they were both involved in this process, but nothing he heard completely took the Jaguars off his list. Although you could look at it and say, hey, he's just trying to keep his options open to have as much leverage as possible as well. But there have been enough reports from people that know Ben Johnson that indicate he would like the opportunity to work with Trevor Lawrence, and I think there's got to be some truth to that. So if you're handicapping from a Jaguars perspective, how legitimate is Ben Johnson's interest still at this stage, or do you think that he has got his eyes set to the desert right now?
Well, I'm sure there are people who think that he does have his eyes set there. I'm not convinced of that, and I'm not. I'm just trying to read, as you are and many others are. I'm trying to read the tea leaves based on what I've been told, and I would say that right now, what you said earlier, I think Ben Johnson is keeping his options open, and there is leverage in this because I had an NFL executive. I asked him point blank about 2 weeks ago. I said, how much do you feel like Trent Baalke could be an impediment, if at all, to a potential candidate because of his presence as GM? And this executive flat out told me, he says it's going to depend on whether that candidate has options. That was which I thought was a pretty good way to say it, because the more leverage, like somebody like, let's say, and again I'm hypothesizing here. Let's say Robert Saleh. Let's say the Jaguars were to be interested in possibly hiring him for whatever reason, right? Well, how many more options is Robert Saleh going to have to be a head coach? So that's why I would think he would be more. I think he would be more apt to say, I'm okay with Trent Baalke as my GM, right? Because he may not have, other than maybe the Cowboys, and you have to think that the Cowboys might be a little bit more fixated on Kellen Moore, because Kellen Moore is a guy who's familiar with Dallas, and he's a guy that Jerry Jones feels like he could control, right? So what I can tell you is nothing's going to happen today. Nothing's happening today. And this could very well go into next week, and here's why. You've got you've got some candidates out there that the Jaguars may want to interview who are being interviewed by other teams. So let's say this goes so that could very well take up the next 3 days, right? Between the guy the Jags want to interview and possibly other teams that want to interview that guy, right? And if that takes up the next 3 days, then all of a sudden it's Friday, and I seriously doubt anyone's going to announce anything on the weekend, right? So if it's going to happen, you would think it would happen on a weekday. So I'm 50-50 on whether the Jaguars will have a coach this week, right now, at this moment.
Gene, we've heard about – sorry, Gene.
Go ahead.
We've heard about the possibility that Trent Baalke could be put in more of an EVP role within the organization. How much is the Jaguars situation actually improved if Baalke is placed in that kind of role as opposed to being the GM?
Well, EVP is still that's still a pretty influential, powerful role. I would think that it would be. I don't know how much that would change. Now, if he was willing to be, and again, I'm just throwing out a title here, right? If it was like, I don't know, advisor to the owner, or, and this is a real hypothetical, an assistant to the GM, which I doubt he would, that he would go for, because that's a clear demotion, right? We've all heard the rumors, right? Heard the rumors about, his role might be changing. There've been rumors about maybe Baalke will retire or anything like that. Based on the fact that this guy is a big player in identifying the next coach, and with a lot of the preliminary draft work is already done, right? Yes, you still got the combine and you still got all these personal interviews, but a lot of the preliminary draft work is done. So I just don't know if I could see anything happening to Baalke until after the draft, if it happens. I could be wrong about that, but, Shad Khan has made it clear that Trent Baalke is leading this search. And if he's leading this search, it's possible that he could have a significant influence on the search, and we'll see who they end up with. But I think if you see the Jaguars end up with Saleh or Cohn, you will see a stronger presence from Baalke, and he will continue on in his role. And if it's somebody else like a Ben Johnson or an Aaron Glenn, things could be different. The word fluid is the word for this situation right now. It could go. It's like a horse race, and there's 6 horses coming down the stretch that all could win the race, and that's kind of where we're at right now. Now, something might break in the next 24 or 48 hours that could change that. But like I said, I don't see nothing's happening today. There's no, to best of my knowledge, the Jaguars are not interviewing any candidates today. But we'll see what happens over the next 3 days, because I'm sure it's going to be a very busy time in the next 72 hours.
All right. The Jaguars come to you, Gene Fournette, Florida Times-Union, and they say, Gene, we need your expert guidance here, okay? We need your personal wish list, whether it's Ben Johnson at the top or not. Give us, rank them in order, who you think would be the 3 best candidates for the Jacksonville Jaguars if they would agree to take the job.
Well, I've already written this column. I wrote it last week, and I'm not changing off of that. My 3 candidates in order, and I would be, by the way, I would be fine with any one of these 3. Okay, but if you're asking me to pick them in order, I would go Saleh, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn. And the reason why I have 2 of the 3 that I have at the top is because I think first and foremost, the Jaguars have got to identify the right authoritative leader that they need to flip this franchise. I know everybody gets enamored with the offensive numbers, and believe me, what Ben Johnson has done might be the most impactful coordinator that I've seen in a long, long time, because of how incrementally better the Lions have gotten in every significant offensive category. Jared Goff, his numbers have gone up. Completion percentage, quarterback rating, touchdowns, less interceptions, all that is better all 4 years that he's been in Detroit. And he was a good quarterback with the Rams. He wasn't great, but he was good. And he's become, I would say, well into that second tier of quarterbacks behind the obvious elite ones, right? And so what Ben Johnson has done, I mean, everything is up. Rushing yards, passing yards, points per game, everything. Oh, in 3 straight years, they've all gone up. So that is very, very impressive. What I don't know about Ben Johnson is I don't know how much he will be a culture changer, right, in terms of his leadership ability, in terms of his ability to lead men, so to speak. And he might very well be great. I just don't know. I'm more convinced that Saleh and Aaron Glenn would fit that with the Jaguars, because I just think they need somebody that's going to be, a little bit more iron-fisted than Doug. Doug Peterson was sort of this guy that, schemed things up, expected you to do your job, he'll do his job, but not somebody who's not going to, he's not going to stand on that bully pulpit and just sort of, be like some sort of fire and brimstone guy. That is not Doug Peterson. And I think the Jaguars need a little bit of that. I'm not saying they need all of that. I'm not saying they need another Tom Coughlin, but they do need somebody that is, in my opinion, going to be much more an authoritative leader. And I think Robert Saleh and Aaron Glenn might fit that a little bit more than Ben Johnson. But certainly what Ben Johnson has done with the offense there and what he could potentially do with Trevor Lawrence is certainly something that could be very inviting for Shad Khan. And I'll say this, if the entertainment factor is a big thing with Shad Khan, in other words, he would like to have a coach who's going to have a more entertaining product. And, you can still have an entertaining product and not win the way you want, right? But if entertainment is a big part of what Shad Khan wants in his next coach, then I think Ben Johnson he would probably lean more towards Ben.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this week. If it picks up significant steam, we'll read your coverage of it at the Florida Times-Union. You can find Gene Fournette at his name on X or Twitter, and just digging into his sources, trying to figure out, like the rest of us, where this head coaching job is going to ultimately land. Gene, Happy New Year once again, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Let's do it again once we get a little bit more clarity on what's going on here.
Okay, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, pal. There he goes, Eugene Fournette of the Florida Times-Union. Some interesting things there. And, you got one proponent who's got Saleh at the top of his list in Gene Fournette right there. I know a lot of other people don't have him there. Somebody asked, how is Robert Saleh? Are you joking? A leader of men in New York? Absolutely ridiculous. That's from Matt. We'll address that and more when we come back on the other side. But I enjoyed that conversation with Gene, so I appreciate him taking some time out here with us this morning on Jaguars Today. If you'd like to get in and reflect on anything Gene had to say or your own opinions and thoughts, 641-1010 on the Garber Automall phone lines, the easiest way to do it. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods. You don't need me to tell you that it's cool outside, but I'll tell you anyway. It's nice and cool outside right now. With that cold weather rolling in, nothing better than some delicious food that can warm up your belly and make you feel great rest of the day. Swing into an area gate station, head to the Fresh Case, and look for the Dandy and Anytime Deli labels. And maybe try that Boom Boom Steak Sub, flame broiled beef strips, seasoned and marinated and gluten-free, no artificial ingredients. Add a little Swiss cheese, a little Boom Boom sauce, and bam, delicious anytime. But it definitely hits right when it's cold outside. Or maybe a perfect twin pack of country sausage biscuits, each an ounce and a half of country sausage patty from Swaggerty, the best tasting sausage in the United States of America, served on a Pillsbury flaky biscuit. 60 seconds to good. Just a couple of the options from Dandy. When you're hungry in Duval driving around, you know Dandy's the name to know. Support a local company and do what I do. Go out and make yours a Dandy. Do it today.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
This is Barry Sanders.
Sanders still on his feet, and Sanders is gone.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
1010XL.
Florida's weather is unpredictable. Don't let the Epic Chill catch you off guard. For reliable heating services, call Epic Cool Heating and Air. Keep your home cozy all season long. Call 904-859-EPIC, 904-859-3742.
This is Tony Baselli, Pro Football Hall of Famer. I was known for protecting our quarterback. These days, I'm extending that protection to a different arena, your home. I have partnered with Heritage Roofing of North Florida, your premier local roofers with over 25 years of experience. Heritage is your go-to roofer for hurricane preparation with same-day inspections and estimates. They also work with all insurance companies. Let Heritage Roofing of North Florida safeguard your home and family. Visit heritagenfl.com for your free estimate today.
State license CCC 1335410.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Jags Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projacksroofingfl.com.
Jaguars Today Monday is built by Dream Finders Homes.
Official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Morning, Paula.
Morning, Ron.
Another day in Adminville, am I right?
What are you working on? Oh!
You okay?
Your tabs. You have so many open.
Yeah, gotta order lunch for the big client meeting. With great responsibility comes tabs.
I can help. Close all those tabs and open just one, easycater.com. Online ordering from local restaurants, plus tools to save time, stay on budget, track expenses.
One tab to rule them all.
EasyCater, the smarter way to order food for work. Order now at easycater.com.
Ammon, you're always talking about how clean air is healthy air. I've had this cold for weeks. Can cleaning my air ducts actually help?
Well, Dad, I'm not a doctor, and let's be honest, you probably caught that cold from one of your grandkids. But I can tell you this, the cleaner your air, the better you'll feel.
Makes sense, but what do air ducts have to do with it?
Your ducts are like the lungs of your home. If they're full of dust, allergens, and who knows what else, all that junk gets blown into the air you breathe, especially now that the heat's running. And the EPA says improving indoor air quality can reduce health risk.
So you're telling me my vents are working harder than my immune system?
Exactly. That's why Zero Res is here. We're NADCA certified, and our truck mount system is the most powerful in the industry. Right now, we're even offering $100 off your total for January.
All right, sign me up. If it makes me feel better and keeps your mom off my back, I'm all in.
Good call, Dad.
Zero Res.
Spelled border backwards. It's the right way to clean.
CEROREC. Zero Res. New year, new boat. The Jacksonville Boat Show is January 24th, 25th, and 26th at the Prime Osborne Convention Center. Make your boating dream a reality this year. Deals on boats and accessories, fishing seminars, kids events, and more. The Jacksonville Boat Show, presented by ViStar Credit Union. Tickets at boatjacks.com. That's boatjacks.com. Come buy a boat.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. The Orlando Magic suffered their third straight loss, losing to the Denver Nuggets this past weekend 113-100. The Nuggets used the third quarter to run away with the win, with the Magic's recent star back from injury, Paolo Banchero, recording his worst night of scoring with just 10 points. Magic's head coach Jamal Mosley on getting his team in the right perspective after the loss.
I think you zoom out
I think you have to zoom out in these circumstances, understanding where you are, one, in the standings, where you are with what's going on with the team, helping them understand and get the right perspective. One, we still get to play this game of basketball. We're getting healthy bodies back soon. And so, yes, it's 3 in a row, and I'm not making excuses, nor am I happy about it. But at the end of the day, you have to zoom out because you can't make one game pile on to 10.
It's 42 degrees at 11:01. Time in temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, I want to make this clear as we discuss this topic, Tony. Robert Saleh's not at the top of my list. No. I'm not coveting Robert Saleh to be the next head coach. So if someone asks a question, how do you defend a certain statement? You can defend something without saying, that means I want this guy to be the next guy. Mm-hmm. He may well end up being the next guy. And if he is, I hope he hires a great offensive coordinator and has a lot of success. I hope that of anyone who gets the job here in Jacksonville. But he wouldn't be my first choice. I don't want a guy who I look at as having just failed in another market as a head coach. I'd like to see a little time and, lessons learned period in between, then throwing him right back into the fray. He's not my choice. But when as I was pointing out before we went to break, somebody on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, are you joking? Was Saleh a leader of men in New York? Ridiculous. That's what Matt said to that. Somebody else replied, Saleh did appear to be a leader of men. His problem was the owner. The owner pretty much took all his leadership away when they allowed Aaron Rodgers to make hiring decisions, basically. I agree with that. I feel like he was neutered. And again, I'm not making the case for him to be the Jags coach. No. I'm just making the case that everything that went on in New York wasn't Robert Saleh's fault.
Make the criticism of what happened in New York fair. At the bare minimum, make it fair. The Aaron Rodgers impact on that organization, we can't even tell how big it is from down here. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers went in and said, I want you to fire Robert Saleh. But I think there were maybe things that Saleh would like to have done that somebody stepped in and said, you can't do that, right? Because Aaron doesn't want it.
Right.
I think that's a very real possibility up there in New York. So did he even get a fair chance to establish his culture, whatever that actually is up there with New York? I do not know the answer to that, and I'm with you. He's not at the top of my list for the guys that I would like to see hired by Jacksonville, but I'm not scared of him because of what happened with the Jets.
No. Look, he did win 7 games with basically a Zach Wilson-led team as well, which was better than you would expect he would do, particularly when you compare it to an Aaron Rodgers-led team with a lot of the same personnel. But again, not making that case. I do want to go with the offensive guy because, again, Dan Quinn got the job. He's a defensive coach, right? And he got the job with Washington. Where was Washington picking in the draft this year, Don? 2nd.
Yeah.
And then they got Jane Daniels falling into their lap. They paired him up with Cliff Kingsbury, and it took off. Now, what happens if Cliff Kingsbury leaves next year, potentially?
Got to find the next one.
Well, right. Got to find the next one. Maybe it'll work because you've got such a great piece of raw material to work with in Jane Daniels.
Yeah, it's worked out okay in Buffalo, and they've had to do that, it seems like, every year here for a while. It's worked out okay in Tampa, and they've been in the same kind of situation. Bowles has had to change his OC basically every year, but they keep finding a way, right, to make it work on the offensive side. I do think Buffalo is a good example of it. What you have to work with Josh Allen is top-notch. And there are a lot of guys that can come in there and make that successful. And maybe the defensive side of the ball is where they would need more help because they seem pretty set with Josh Allen on the offensive side. I don't know that Trevor Lawrence is anywhere near that kind of level yet where you just can replace the offensive coordinator and he'll be fine.
Right, because you're talking about new terminology, maybe a new basic structure to your offense, new wants and desires, I like. And if you find the right next guy, that's great.
Yeah.
But listen to what the Buck fans are saying about Liam Cohen potentially leaving. They are ready to throw Todd Bowles out the door if it meant they could hire Liam Cohen as the head coach because they think he's that important to what they're doing. Now, maybe they would have said the same about Dave Canales, who left to become the head coach in Carolina.
Maybe.
And if you have success and keep finding the next right guy, great. Do I trust the Jags are going to find the next right guy, over and over and over again? No, which is why I do lean on the offensive side of things. That if you hire Ben Johnson, it's going to be a Ben Johnson offense, whether he's calling plays till the end of time or not. It's going to be his fingerprints all over it. And the most important thing you can do is get the most out of Trevor Lawrence at this point.
Yeah.
I will say maybe a close second in terms of the most important thing. And I don't think you can just snap your fingers and say, because we hire Coach X, this is going to change. But, man, if you didn't already know this, and you should have if you've watched football at all, turnovers are just the gut punch equalizer. You can have all the schemes and all the best laid plans. Todd Monken's out there calling a game, and they put up over 400 yards of offense on the Bills yesterday, the Baltimore Ravens do. But Lamar throws a bad interception. He makes a bad decision or to not secure the ball, trying to make a play. And look, I don't fault him for trying to make a play. People are like, you got to jump on that ball there. Well, C.J. Stroud didn't jump on that ball, right, when it was a bad snap, and that was the play that turned that game around, right? Now, you can argue that Baltimore's moving it. They didn't need to turn it around, whatever the case. Mark Andrews' fumble was huge in that football game yesterday, and, of course, the Andrews drop. So you can out-coach the other team. And if they are generating a few key plays, though, I felt like Buffalo was bend but don't break all day yesterday. They didn't generate a ton of offense. They just played basically mistake-free football, protected it, took advantage of those turnovers, and scored points. And that's the ball game in many ways. I mean, look, if Goff doesn't turn it over 4 times, Detroit still put up 31 points. He had 4 turnovers. Jameson Williams threw a pick, so that's 5 Detroit turnovers. Are they all at the feet of Ben Johnson? At some point, you've got to say, here are the concepts, here are the plays. We've practiced them. You got to go out there and execute them. Much like here in Jacksonville, we had that debate all season long.
Well, and there are teams that when you get to the playoffs that don't have habits that show up all year, but in the playoffs, because of the pressure and the weather, things change. Right? Detroit, you don't have that because they're playing indoors. Maybe it's the pressure of the situation gets to Goff a little bit. And look, we've seen him play games where he's been nearly perfect, and then we've seen him have a handful of games this year where he was the complete opposite of that. Unfortunately for Detroit on Sunday, he was more the opposite than he was the guy who was nearly perfect, like he had been for big swaths of the season. But the weather in Philadelphia and Buffalo yesterday, I mean, I don't blame Lamar for having a fumble, right? Like, it's hard. In that kind of weather, in that kind of moment, a guy makes a play, you just kind of go, dang it. This is not something that's been a problem for Lamar. Right? Like, it's not an over and over
Which
again
is why, though, that there's so much of, well, it hasn't been, yet here we are in the postseason.
And I think that it has to do with the pressure and the weather.
Right.
Like, I think those two things combine, and it neutralizes whatever the Lamar superpower is to a degree.
I don't think that weather caused that fumble.
I don't know if it did or didn't. I know it did feel like watching that game like everyone was kind of carrying around a block of ice. Like, that's what it felt like at times watching that game yesterday. That didn't stop, Mark Andrews from catching the 2-point conversion. And then you see what happens, right, in the football game. But that's not the way that kind of thing worked out. And for Lamar, it's going to be another year of, is he ever going to win in a big moment? That's not going away.
Right. He may not.
And whatever the set of circumstances was that led to the loss, no one cares. Like, walking away from it, nobody cares. He lost. Another big moment, he lost. I look at him and say, yeah, he could win the MVP, probably should win the MVP again this year. But he lost in the playoffs again. And now Josh Allen, he's got that same kind of collar. Can he beat Kansas City in this moment? Right? Like, that's the real test that all these guys have to face. Can you beat Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City in this moment? Well, Lamar was about to have that put in his face again, wasn't able to get through it last year. They're not going to do it this year. Now it's Josh Allen's turn to try to do it. Burrow's done it once. Can you join Burrow in the I can actually beat Mahomes in the playoffs every now and then kind of club? Because there's not a whole lot of guys in that club right now.
Well, and the feeling now, and everyone lets this get into their mind because the first call that goes Kansas City's way.
Yeah.
You're just, okay, here we go.
Again.
And it's self-defeating, right? If you put yourself in that kind of position. That's why we talked about if Mahomes wants to tiptoe down the the sideline, I'll tell my guys, risk that 15-yard penalty, especially early in the game.
Yeah, I won't be mad at you if they throw the flag.
Right, send a message that if you're going to play this game, we're not going to try to sit here and play patty cake. It's like the way that Lamar gets rushed, right? Guys are in mortal fear of getting shook. I mean, guys rush Lamar Jackson and stop about 2 yards away and then try to shadow him and don't let him go on those long runs. And look, he's become a much better passer. If you give him that much time, he didn't have his top receiver yesterday.
Right.
So, by the way, Zay Flowers was not impactful at all when they played the Bills the first time around, and they hung 35 on him. So I'm not blaming it on the absence of Zay Flowers. You got to play better football. I mean, I don't know who Lamar had the turnovers. Mark Andrews had the turnover and the drop. They're both critical.
Yeah.
Or all of those plays were critical in costing their team the final opportunity to win those football games. And again, your level of acceptance changes, right? Right now, Mike Tomlin, should he be on the hot seat in Pittsburgh? Now you're hearing John Harbaugh, should he be on the hot seat in Baltimore? And you think, man, we'd love to be on that kind of hot seat. Get us to the playoffs every single year. Well, after a certain point in time, that's not enough anymore. And you've got to advance. And those teams are, most of them, many of them that are still there are at that stage. Washington, it's going to be looked at that they had a great year regardless. If Philly loses to Washington at home in the NFC Championship game, oh my gosh, their fan base will want to kill them, and then they'll or alternately be depressed all offseason. Same thing with whoever loses the AFC title game. Again, just can't get over the Mahomes hump, or here we are, chance for a three-peat at home, and we let it get away. Washington's the only one that's rolling with the proverbial house money this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they'll be everyone's favorite team to root for unless you have a particular reason to root against them. If you're an NFC East fan of some kind, people are going to be jumping on that Commanders bandwagon in a big way.
Spending all those years as a Giants fan, I don't know what the heck I'd be doing.
That's look, I'm rooting in this. I want Washington number 1, Philly number 2, Buffalo number 3.
Yeah.
And no other outcome is acceptable.
I don't know what Jaguars fans would do if it was Houston, Tennessee in an AFC Championship game.
We got Houston out. It really doesn't matter that much to me. And look, even if KC wins their third in a row, I'll live with it. Houston, I believe I saw somebody post the only team to not go to a conference championship game.
Correct.
In their franchise's history. Correct. So you got that going for you, at least, Houston. So as you head into the offseason and try to figure out how you stop the freight train that's rolling down these tracks in Duval County, all right? Chugga, getting moving here. All right, we'll come back. You want to get in, 641-1010. We'll take a look at today's Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day along the way. Who do you think it'll be for the Jags? Not who you want it to be. That's today's question. Is it Liam Cohen? Is it Aaron Glenn? Is it Ben Johnson? Or is it somebody else that you think will end up as the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The good, the bad, the extreme, and the completely insane. Now this is a team I could work with.
Just the right blend of misfits to make life more interesting. 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Kick off the new year with a new look for your home. It's the Renewal by Anderson New Year's sales event. For a limited time, save 20% on their energy-efficient windows and patio doors, designed to keep your home comfortable all year. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and 0% interest for 12 months. Offer expires January 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Guess what? We love rugs. We'll treat your fine Oriental rugs with tender, loving care they deserve. How about Gerard, the Zero Res rug cleaning manager, one of the few certified master rug cleaners in the state of Florida? If you want your rugs cleaned with tender love and care, call Zero Res. Right now, have one rug washed and we'll wash a second rug free. That's right, buy one, the second one on me. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Dreamfinders Homes Monday on Jaguars Today.
Your home is your sanctuary where memories are made. Jack's homeowners trust Superior Fence and Rail to make their home feel safe, secure, and complete. Imagine a classic wood fence for privacy, sturdy aluminum to protect your pets, or a modern vinyl design that boosts curb appeal. Every fence is built with precision and pride, standing strong in every season.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
The 1010XL Restaurant of the Day is Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island. Enjoy the College Football National Championship with $4 clay lights and any pizza for $16 at Barley and Pie in Fleming Island.
Frank Frangie here. Join us for the Frangie Show Friday from 4 to 6 at Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island. We'll preview the AFC-NFC Championship game, and you can win a pair of Gator basketball tickets. Friday, 4 to 6 at Barley and Pie in Fleming Island.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,600 per ounce. Pay bills. Buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it in for a new piece and get even more at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Jacksonville. When AEW returns home, it is the biggest party in all of professional wrestling.
Daily's Place, the home of AEW.
And on Saturday, January 25th, Collision returns live. It's a new year and a whole new era in AEW. And there's no better time to experience the excitement than right now. AEW Collision Homecoming, live from Daily's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets on sale now, starting at $20 at AEWTIX.com.
Make a resolution this new year to send all of your friends or family a Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. ET here with 1010XL. Okay, how about sending just one person you love a floral arrangement? Kuhn Flowers can handle it.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we've got your homework assignments for the next few days if you care to play along. Tomorrow we return with the Tuesday Top 5. It's one of our all-season staples the last couple of years. And tomorrow, the first Top 5 list we're going to do is Top 5 coaching can't. No, we're not. All right? I feel like we do that every day. Tomorrow, but, I get it. There's a reason why we're doing it, and it's going to come to a conclusion sooner rather than later. But tomorrow, we're going to go with the top 5 free agent targets for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Your personal top 5 free agent targets for the Jags, and that can be high-dollar guys, just smart mid-level guys, whatever the case may be. So if you want to play along tomorrow, that'll be the question of the day. You can check out. I'll tweet out a link. It's all you have to do is put 2025 NFL free agents into Google, and you'll come up with several lists that all appear to be mostly legitimate here in terms of who is actually out there. So we'll do that. And then Wednesday, we haven't given up after 1 week. It'll be a mock draft show once again. Dylan and I have already put some mock drafts down for the week, ready to go. Dylan, I ended up with 13 picks this year.
I did
this
11.
Week. You had 11?
Yes.
Okay, so we've been trading back, adding.
Trades.
Tony's still got to put his together.
I have not done
like.
one, not yet.
It's all fine. And we'll roll through those. I think this week, again, we're going to go with Pro Football Network's mock draft simulator. And then maybe next week we'll switch it up with somebody else. There are several of them out there that we will check on. So that at least covers the next couple of days coming up. Covering us for the next couple of minutes, Tony Smith going to take us around the National Football League.
Now, Gems Around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Washington guard Samuel Cosmi suffered a torn ACL on Saturday, so obviously he won't be able to play for whatever the remainder of the Washington playoff run will be. Philadelphia rookie corner Quinion Mitchell left their win yesterday with a shoulder injury, did not return to the game. He said in the locker room afterwards that he is confident he'll be able to play in the NFC Championship game this week. Jalen Hurts also had to leave the game temporarily, but apparently nothing serious there, so he should be available on Sunday for the Eagles as well. And Detroit cornerback Amik Robertson has already undergone successful surgery for a broken arm that he suffered on Saturday. He is expected to be ready for the team's offseason workouts.
All right, thank you, Tone. Got a lengthy text here. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't have the time to do it, but basically saying Todd Monken called the best game of the playoffs yesterday, only to have it ruined by a guy who makes millions of dollars drop a simple pass. Not throwing too hard, throwing at the correct mileage per hour, and he blew the game for the entire season, cheated everybody of a great overtime. Baltimore was the best team in the playoffs. Now we get to watch the other teams play because Mark Andrews dropped that pass and 2 other ones right in his hands. We need to hire Todd Monken. It may have gone that way.
Okay.
Or maybe Buffalo just goes down the field and kicks a field goal and there's no overtime, and the game's over. That's a possibility as well. So
there's still like a minute left.
It's a minute and a half, I think. There's tons of time
It
left.
wasn't over.
No.
Yeah, that was a minute 30. Minute 33.
I think you're right. Minute 33 left. So who knows if they kick it deep, what they do. Obviously, they tried an onside, they got it, then they ripped off a run. But, at that point, you're kind of selling out defensively. And if one guy misses the opportunity to get a guy down, you're going to give up a big play sometimes. So who knows how it would have gone. But just,
it's a vote for Todd Monken. Okay.
That's right. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That is absolutely fine. But, I would say part of being the best team is having your players actually come through for you in the clutch. And Mark Andrews didn't do that yesterday. Lamar Jackson had a couple of moments where he didn't do that yesterday. And you can, the best, this is the NFL, man. Whoever hoists the Lombardi trophy, that's the best team. That's the way I look at it, And you can talk about, the team we thought was the best. I don't know that Baltimore was the best team left in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I get it. They were a road favorite by a point. Didn't get the job done. Turned it over too many times.
None of that stuff matters, right? Like, as you know, I am a Braves fan, and I can't tell you how many, at least 15, 16 times in my life, I've known the Braves have the best team in the National League. Known it all year long. Best team in the National League. I've seen them win 2, right? It doesn't matter how good they were in the regular season. It doesn't matter how dominant they were in the regular season. None of that matters when the playoffs start. It's a new season, and if your team doesn't come through especially if you thought you had the best team. It's a disappointment. Like, there's nothing to feel but disappointment when your team doesn't come through in the clutch situation, when they put themselves in a position to have the situation arise. When they don't come through, you don't look at them and say, yeah, but. There is no yeah, but. You lost. That's it. That's the bottom line. And for Baltimore, you can look at them and say, I think they were the best team left in the playoffs. But they aren't, because they're gone. Right?
Look, many would say Detroit was the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Period.
For most of the year, for sure.
Had a home field advantage and couldn't get the job done because their quarterback, in part, had a meltdown in the game. And look, I get it. Maybe he was concussed because he didn't get hit in the damn chin with a helmet. Like, how do you not call? I don't care who that player is. It's not protecting a quarterback. That can be any player.
Right.
You hit him in the chin with your helmet. That's got to be a 15-yard flag,
it should be.
Didn't get the call on that one with Jared Goff, and who knows, was he shaken the rest of the game?
It was not the same in the second half.
Right. I mean, but was that because they were trailing and he's pressing more? It's impossible to know.
Yeah, no one knows except maybe him.
Look, and he's had a few of these games, but at the same, so Ben Johnson didn't do a good job getting a good performance at him. All right, but he's also, you look at Jared Goff at times this year, didn't he have, I want to say he had a perfect quarterback rating almost like in consecutive games.
Yeah. He had like a month where he had like 7 incompletions.
It was crazy what he was doing at times. But he also had a 5-interception game.
He did.
They overcame that, though.
And they won,
And they beat. Who they beat in that one? Oh, that'd be Houston. So we could still beat Houston with 5 interceptions, apparently, was Detroit's calling card. But, at the end of the day, they're going to be disappointed because that Detroit fans do feel like they're the best team. I'm sure Raven fans feel like this was their year. It was all set. We're going to go. We're going to beat Buffalo. We got them here. And they made the mistakes, though. Same as Detroit did. And that's a big part of winning in the playoffs. And now it's like, man, it really is fun because almost everybody's going for it on all these 4th downs now, right? And it does make watching more enjoyable that, hey, instead of just settling for a field goal. Now, maybe if it's your team, you want to take the 3 points, it's a different story. At times, like I thought Buffalo did the right thing. They're down there. They're up 5. It's late in the game. Kick the field goal, make it 8, make it so you can't lose on the next one, And I also heard somebody, was it Buffalo who went up 7 at one point and could have gone for 2 to make it a 9-point game. And they were debating whether they should have done that because it leaves it at 7. But I think it was them but I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave it to where Baltimore can beat me on one play on the road.
Yeah.
With Lamar Jackson as dangerous as he is. That's a move you do, Tony, I think, early in the game. That's a move you do a lot of times in the regular season.
Yeah.
I'm kicking it and making it an 8-pointer so I can't lose for sure.
Well, and you're forcing them to get the 2-point conversion.
Correct.
Right? And that should play into it. Yeah, if you get the 2-point conversion yourself and make it a 9-point game, you've probably just won. And I get it. That puts it on you. But if you just kick the extra point, well, now every play Baltimore runs is, are we going to win or lose the game on this play? Are we going to win or lose the game on this play? It's every play, including the 2-point conversion. It's the right kind of thing to do in that moment. Washington was super aggressive that entire game against Detroit.
Did you see the pregame interview with Dan Quinn?
No.
I never get to see these, right? Because we're working, right? And so we don't even see the Jags pregame interviews and any of that. So they go to Dan Quinn, and you would have thought, they could have just swapped him and Campbell out, right? And Quinn's talking about how we got to be hyper aggressive. We got to lay it all on the line. And I got to coach that way too. I got to coach like my hair's on fire. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
And he knew, hey, we're behind here, man. We're the underdog in a big way. We're on the road. They've proven to be the best team in the NFC all year long, maybe the best team in the NFL. We got to do something above and beyond. And they did it. And it's a scary spot that you find yourselves. It's kind of like in overtime, right? You get down there, you have the first possession of overtime, you kick that field goal. Well, now what you've done is the other team now has 4 downs instead of 3 on every single opportunity to go for it. And it's so hard in today's NFL to get a team off the field when they've got that mindset and they know that they have nothing to lose by going for it on every single down. So anyway, fun weekend.
They were 3 or 4 on 4th down.
Yeah, they were.
On Saturday.
Absolutely.
And the only one they didn't get was on that first drive.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only time they didn't come through in that situation the entire game. And there is a momentum. Within games, it's about momentum. And if you are going to be the team that we go in and the mindset all week is we're going to be aggressive, when your team starts having success in that, well, the momentum is all going to be starting to come to your side. You top that with the turnovers that Detroit was dealing with at the same time. And, it was basically landslide mode in that game for Washington, with it all falling on top of Detroit, because at some point in that game, all the pressure was on the Lions.
Absolutely.
Washington didn't have any of it, and they kept the pressure up on Detroit, and eventually they crumbled underneath it.
All right, we got to take a break here. We'll come back and look at the Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day. As of today, who do you think will be the next head coach of the Jaguars? Not necessarily who you would like it to be. Liam Cohen, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, somebody else. Go off the board. Over 600 votes on this one already this morning. So we'll parse that a little bit when we get to the other side. If you're on the line, if you want to stay there, we'll get to you coming out of the break as well at 641-1010 on the Garber Auto Mall phone lines. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 weight loss. All right, you're well past the beginning of the year. When you think about New Year's resolutions, and maybe you've had a lot of failed ones, you don't even want to try sometimes anymore. Don't make it a New Year's resolution. Make it a life change for you. Decide that you're going to start treating yourself better and get more out of life. Be healthier, feel better, look better. Awaken 180 can help you down the road to all of those goals. No lose weight quick gadgets, no fad diets, no medications involved, no heavy exercise regimen necessary with Awaken 180 weight loss. You just eat to lose weight. They'll help you. They'll coach you what foods to eat, when to eat them, to help turn your body into a fat-burning machine. You'll hit your goal weight quicker than you probably expected to, and once you do, you'll get free coaching and support for life from Awaken 180. It's the backbone of the program and has been for over 10 years with 23,000 satisfied clients. So the next time you're looking to drop a few pounds and keep them off, go online and schedule a free consultation with awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. The NBA is on 1010XL.
Orlando travels to Jurassic Park for an evening matchup with the Raptors. Tuesday night at 7 on 1010 a.m.
Start your new year off healthy and get screened at Ackerman Cancer Center with on-site imaging, including whole body MRI, PET and CT scans, and mammography. Early detection is key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Don't just wait for the big game. Bet on big playoff games every weekend. Only on Hard Rock Bet. Roll with us and turn playoff predictions into paydays. If your team season is already over,
Looks like they're headed home early.
it only takes $1 to make any game interesting.
And we're back. What a game.
Download Hard Rock Bet. Win your first bet or get up to $100 back in bonus bets. Payable in bonus bet up to $100. Not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Huddle up and catch all the playoff action at Hurricane Grill and Wings, where every day is game day. They're serving up the flavors you crave, from refreshing new cocktails to famous wings that are always better with Pepsi. And with happy hour deals, you'll be winning all day long. It's the perfect spot to catch all the football action with friends and family while enjoying your food faves, cocktails, and beer. Don't miss out. Swing by Hurricane Grill and Wings and see what everyone's cheering about.
Jaguars Today. You're settled into a Dream Finders Homes Monday.
It's New Year's resolution time, so why not skip the guilt and do something you'll actually stick to, like fixing that leaky faucet, unclogging that drain, or getting your AC ready for the summer.
DuckDuck is here to help you keep this resolution. Investing in your home.
Start the year off right with DuckDuck Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Call us today at 904-862-6769. Because when you're stuck, call the Duck. Right now, get $50 off any service of $150 or more.
New year, new beginnings, and a new roof. Start 2025 with peace of mind and take advantage of Universal Roof and Contracting's limited time offer. 15% off all roof repairs and replacements. From leaks to full replacements, call 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection today. This special New Year deal ends January 31st. Universal Roof and Contracting, protecting your home and building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Hi, I'm Ashley. For 40 years, Dreams Come True has helped fulfill dreams for kids facing life-threatening illnesses, like our son, Rhett. And it all started with a dream that was fulfilled at the Players. Rhett, how many days until the Players?
50 days to go.
If fishing is in your DNA, hop in the boat with Captain Kevin. It's the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
Happy New Year, sports fans. Hicken here, and let's keep the skincare talk going while we ring in the new year. You know it's winter, a little cold outside. That sun is still shining, so let's always be reminded to take care of our skin. Beaches Dermatology now has a new location open in Fernandina. So if you live just a little north of Duval, you can now see the pros at Beaches Dermatology without having to make the drive to Jax. Go online to beachesdermatology.com to book your skincare appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Hicken here for Bound 9 Associates, where you'll find Jacksonville's most esteemed eye doctors at each of their locations. After being selected for one of the most competitive ophthalmology fellowships in the world, Dr. Frank Bowden is frequently called upon for his expert opinion. He is currently one of the few cornea and external disease specialists in the area and the founder of Bound 9. Visit Bound 9 Associates today and experience the difference. Bound 9 Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Tailgate special alert. 3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
All right, Jaguars Today, moving along here. Again, tomorrow is the Tuesday top five free agents you'd like to see the Jags target. They don't have to be the top of the list for everything. Maybe you see some value in, a corner out there who's kind of middle of the pack, and will also carry a middle of the pack price.
Sure.
That kind of thing. So there you have it. We'll get into that tomorrow and Wednesday. Who do we have joining us on Wednesday? Dylan Denmark.
Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network.
There you go.
Preview the NFL draft in 2025.
I hear the draft is coming, whether we like it or not. It's coming up in April. And somebody asked here, Tony, would you guys trade? This is on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Would you guys trade Trevor and Trayvon for Aiden Hutchinson and Jared Goff? And then they replied, or they added, I would not. I would trade Trayvon for Hutchinson. I would. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, I feel like, is this what Goff is? Like, Goff in a perfect setting can put up good numbers. He's got all this talent around him. But when it gets to the biggest games, remember the Super Bowl he went to that he led the Rams to 3 points? Right? Against, was it like 10-3 they lost to the Patriots?
Yeah, bad day.
In that one? And so these are the things that stick in our mind, though, as our biggest memories of Jared Goff frequently. You're getting 5 years on Trevor's career. I think his ceiling is much higher than Goff's. If you give me the right coordinator or the right offensive mind to work with him, I'm probably sticking with what we got here. But I think it's a fair question. Yeah, I really do. Let's say Goff came here, though. He doesn't have the kind of weaponry that he's surrounded with in Detroit. I think he works when everything is really clicking well. You could argue, has Trevor ever worked that well? Well, probably not, right? So you've got to improve his weaponry as well. I think it's a great question, though. What would you do?
No, I'd keep what the Jags have. But I don't think it's that big of a margin.
Right. I don't think it's a ridiculous question whatsoever, because you do have a quarterback who's been to a Super Bowl in Goff, and he's been really good. By the way, Trevor had a lot of turnovers in his first playoff game as well.
He did.
Just overcame them.
They overcame it, yeah. And Goff is going to his 4th Pro Bowl this year. It's not like he's an unaccomplished player.
If you had Trevor Lawrence in Detroit this year, would he be going to the Pro Bowl if he stayed healthy?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. I think the quarterback in Detroit was going to the Pro Bowl this year.
Right. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying Goff is bad. You got to have a certain level of competence. But once you have that, and you got Amon-Ra St. Brown and a breakout season from Jamison Williams and Laporta at tight end and that running back duo.
Sure.
I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs made us all forget about Saquon Barkley for about half a day. These guys, man. We did a show on Sirius XM on Sunday morning. I was asking, so is Gibbs in the conversation now for the number 1 overall? Because, last thing in our mind.
Yeah, fantasy.
And they're like, yeah, he should be. And I'm like, man, can we at least let Saquon see if he can follow up that 255-yard game he had against the Rams earlier this year?
Right.
Not to mention Jamar Chase and Bijan. But you're going to see Gibbs go number 1 in some drafts this year, to be sure. I mean, what an explosive player, man. And we got our own version of it here down in Jacksonville. No, we don't. We'd like to, but Jahmyr Gibbs looked like he was on a different plane of athleticism.
Yeah.
From these, I mean, he's so much faster, it seems like, than everybody out there. The one play, Jamison Williams only touched the ball 3 times in this game, right? He had the 1 catch for 19. He had the reverse. He went 61 to the end zone, and then he threw the interception.
Mm-hmm.
And on the reverse, he's running like across the field, and I'm watching with Heather, and Heather's like, he better hurry up. I'm like, just watch. Nobody's catching this guy, okay? Trust me. Nobody's catching this guy with a head of steam.
Yeah.
And, he's, boy, who's really good, who just is like an afterthought? Tim Patrick's just a really good receiver.
Yeah.
Remember a couple of years ago, Denver gave him a big fat contract, and he just couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So they got a little bit of depth there as well, but obviously it's the front line guys and the offensive line, not to mention that. Saw Doom tweeting about that this week. Hey, don't forget, that O-line's not coming no matter what. If you want all these trick plays, they work a lot better behind the league's best offensive line. True story.
No doubt.
Told there by Doom. All right, today's question of the day, presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. As of today, who do you think will be the next head coach of the Jaguars? Not necessarily who you would like it to be. Listed alphabetically, we put the top 3, what we feel are the top 3 candidates right now: Liam Cohen, Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, or you could vote someone else. And then if you did, please reply with who you think that would be. I will answer it that I think it is Liam Cohen, because I just feel like Ben Johnson does have too many options. This thing with Vegas, I don't know. I'd love for it to be Ben Johnson. He is my top choice. Aaron Glenn also has multiple choices, but this is where I wonder, does Trevor Lawrence's expressed desire to have a young offensive mind to kind of grow with have some kind of a tie-breaking effect on any of this stuff? If you like Liam Cohen a bunch, if it's not Cohen, Tone, I would go someone else, and I'd probably go Joe Brady, because he fits that mold as well, and he doesn't seem to have as many suitors, as many options. Ben Johnson can pick his spot. There's still a school of thought that Ben Johnson might end up back in Detroit. I don't know. I feel like this is coming to an end at this point, and then he's going to finally have to strike here. So I would vote Liam Cohen, but my second choice on this would be someone else, with that someone else being Joe Brady. That I think if I'm betting, those are the 2 most likely candidates to be named the head coach of the Jaguars. I could be wrong. In fact, I hope I am. No offense to those gentlemen. I just happen to like the Detroit guys a little bit better. How would you vote in this?
I would vote Cohen, and I think it does, in my mind, have a lot to do. I think Ben Johnson is testing how much leverage he can use here in this last little stretch of interviews, right? If he can move Jacksonville or Chicago off whatever the stated plan was for what they're going to do, bring them in. I don't think Jacksonville's out of it at this point. I certainly think the door may be open for something to get worked out for Ben Johnson to wind up here in Jacksonville, but I do buy that Vegas would be leading that to this point in time. So I would say Cohen, and I'm with you. I would probably go someone else if it was outside of that. I probably would look to Buffalo. If that's how this whole thing plays out, that's what it feels to me like the direction things are going. They're going to bring in somebody on the offensive side. It just feels like that's how this process is working right now, is that's the direction they're leaning with what they're doing. It certainly is the expressed, preference for Trevor Lawrence, that they get a young offensive guy that he can grow with. It doesn't mean it has to work out that way, but But with the guys that we're talking about, it does seem like somebody young offensive side is going to wind up being the head coach. And the two that are on that list are Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen. I would lean Cohen because I think Johnson is still an open possibility, but I'm not as strong in that direction as I would have been 2 weeks ago.
I will say, though, from my perspective, I mean, I'm without trying to get into levels of conspiracy, right, that the fact that Ben Johnson is going to have a second interview says two things to me. A, that whatever he expressed his desire to be about the structure is not off the table, right? Because if it is, then I don't see him necessarily going this route, although you could make the argument that he's doing it for leverage, right, and keeping all his options open and trying to have a three-team bidding war. Fine, and that may be the case. But also, B, whatever he expressed is not completely unpalatable to the Jacksonville Jaguars, to where they said, not going to go down that road. So, I'm hopeful that it goes down that way. And, again, was he perfect this weekend? No, but I'm judging on the full body of work. At least I'm trying to here. That offense was super innovative. It is a little disturbing when you look at Aaron Glenn's overall defense rankings since he's been in Detroit. The overall, in terms of yards allowed, he's been there for the last 4 years in Detroit. Detroit is ranked 29th, then dead last, then 19th, then 20th in yards allowed. Points, they were better this year. They've been in they've gotten progressively better, 31, 28, 23, and 7th this year. But it's not like they've got a top 3 defense in the National Football League. And I get all the injuries and all that came with it, but this kind of thing is going to come under more scrutiny now as – it's one thing if Detroit's riding onto a Super Bowl championship and it's like, it's just about aura and attitude, and that's what we need to inject some of that. And now that it's all falling apart, you're going to see these guys looked at maybe a little bit more critically, although I think both still end up with jobs in this cycle. So we'll see how it shakes out. 617 votes right now. Liam Cohen getting 41% to 39% for Ben Johnson. Again, this is who you think will be the next head coach, not necessarily who you want it to be. 10.4% say it'll be Aaron Glenn, and almost 10%, about 9.5%, going off the board. Todd Monken mentioned, Robert Saleh mentioned, Joe Brady mentioned, Mike Francesa was mentioned for some reason as well. Maybe is there somebody else that they could be referring to, or they're just they're going fresh off the board with a new one there? So a lot of Saleh was the most popular one. Joe Brady got mentioned a few times as well. So if you haven't voted already, you can head over to @MD_1010XL on X. Let's welcome in Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
LB, how are you? Good morning.
Great, thanks. How are you?
Not that we didn't know this, but to reemphasize to me this weekend, the number one thing I took out of this whole thing is I don't care how good you are, don't turn the damn ball over. I mean, this defense didn't create many opportunities for turnovers last year. That is such a playing field leveler. And in fact, just more than that, does Washington win without 5 turnovers from Detroit? Probably not, right? Does Buffalo win?
The way that game went, 3 might not have been enough.
Might not have been, right? And Buffalo wins the battle 3-0, and they sneak out with a 2-point win at home. So, and then nobody forget, and everyone will talk about all the mistakes made. Can you create some damn turnovers? Whoever the next coach is going to have to figure out a way to do that here.
Right. I didn't focus so much. I mean, you do if you're cheering for a team in the playoffs that gives the ball up that much, but I didn't focus so much on the giveaways as much as, to your point, the takeaways. That's what this defense hasn't been able to do. You have to be opportunistic, and you have to get a really good pass rush. The team that could win the Super Bowl for the 4th time in in 7 years, the Chiefs, what is one thing that they have there's many, but one thing that they have defensively that the Jaguars don't have, and not just a good secondary, that's certainly one of them, but interior pass rush. Tershawn Wharton, is getting to the quarterback. That's unbelievable because there's Chris Jones and because they have great interior pass rush. The Jaguars had none of that this season.
Right. It's that push lets George Karlaftis come off the edge and have one of the best games he'll probably ever have as a pro. I mean, he's a good player.
Sure. 3 sacks in a game. Yeah.
Right. That was huge. I mean, it was 8 overall. And talked about. It's funny on I think it was Friday night. I said, "Here's what the Texans can't do. They can't be down like 13-3 in the middle of the second quarter." It was 13-3 in the middle of the second quarter, and he was under siege the rest of the way.
And he's one of the more, he and Stafford, probably the least mobile quarterbacks. I guess you put Goff in there too. That's a big difference too. Look at the final 4 teams remaining.
The last 2 weeks, though, I think CJ, he's just a guy who chooses not to run. Like he ran 6 carries for 42 yards in each of the last 2 games. If you could give your team that on a weekly basis, I mean, convert 2 to 3 key first downs, that's huge. I wonder if he does not try to make that a bigger part of his
Stafford's
game
first scramble yesterday, they said on the broadcast, it was his fourth of the year.
Yes.
Run of the year, and then he's hurt. He's got hit in the ribs on something that didn't even look that hard. But Quinion Mitchell left the game and didn't return.
Yeah, which good news for them. It looks like that's not a serious injury. You weren't sure in the moment. But then, we say, well, mobile quarterbacks, that's the answer. Well, the most mobile quarterback of all, Lamar Jackson, turned the ball over. Like, it always circles back to the giveaways. If you give the ball
Josh Allen's
away.
pretty mobile too. So the
Josh Allen,
great
Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, and
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts are the ones left, and they can all run. Now, Jalen, obviously, with the injury, we'll see if he's limited at all with that knee, but I'm looking forward to the weekend already. Can we fast forward to Sunday?
I just wish we had more games left, but
I know.
But that's where we're at. All right, what's coming up today?
Yeah, we'll talk a lot of NFL. Also, there's a college football championship game tonight, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So we'll preview that as well. We got a lot to do.
I will root for Notre Dame, but I will find a way to enjoy whomever loses the game. Because I feel like SEC fans don't want Ohio State to win this game. So that would make it somewhat palatable to me if they were to win that.
I don't know if it's an entire SEC thing or if it's more Gators fans, and you're around more Gators fans.
Whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if Alabama
fans. But then on the other hand, there's Herb Street. And, just can't abide it. So
to me, when you don't know exactly who you're cheering for, rooting against in your case, you won't know until the game starts. And I feel like then you'll be like, okay, it's either the hatred of Herb Street or you'll find something else.
That's what I tell people to do with their fantasy lineup. Seriously, I tell them, if you're really stuck between 2 players, put them both in a bag, pull a name out, and you'll know instantly. If you go, man, I wish I'd pulled the other one, then just play the other guy.
Yeah.
Your body will tell you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened with Ravens-Bills for me. I picked the Ravens, and the moment the game started, I was like, why did I pick the Ravens? The Bills are going to win this game.
I stuck with the Bills and got lucky. All right, Lauren, have a great show.
Thanks so much.
Helmets and Heels the next 2 hours. Thanks to Gene Fournette for joining us from the Florida Times-Union. Tomorrow, the Tuesday top 5 free agent targets for your Jacksonville Jaguars. I will tweet out a preliminary tweet today with a link to a good free agent list that you can go off of if you so choose to play the game with Jaguars Today tomorrow. For Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll talk to you then from 10 to noon on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the renewal.